On the pole, the rookie from Plano, Texas, his second career start, his second career pole, at a record lap that's better than 147 miles an hour. Next to Greg Ray on row 1, David Empringham from Toronto, Canada, the defending series champion. Row 2, Richie Hearn from Arcadia, California, making his series debut. Next to him, electric Billy Rowe, the hometown favorite from Mesa, Arizona. On row 3, Gary Peterson, an oval racing specialist from Huntington Beach, California. Next to him, Bobby Carville, the former Canadian Formula Ford 2000 champion from Johnstown, New York. On row 4, Colin Truman from Antwerp, Ohio, the 7th and last car to break last year's lap record in qualifying. Next to him, the revelation of last season, Patrick Lemarié from France. On row 5, Peter Fawcett Jr. from New York City. Next to him, another rookie, David Myers from Boulder, Colorado. And on the 6th and final row, rookie Richard Suter in the one and only Reynard chassis in a field dominated by Ralt chassis. Next to him, Steve O'Hara from Laguna Hills, California, who led this championship briefly in 1993, but suffered qualifying problems here at Phoenix. We have 2 cameras on board race cars. There's the look from the nose of David Empringham's car looking over at pole sitter Greg Ray. Notice that we can shift this camera to give you a great view of the world's fastest paved 1-mile oval. Patrick Lemarié is also carrying an onboard camera today. The green flag awaits. We have the green flag. We're underway. Empringham jumps into the lead in front of Greg Ray.
Well, Empringham said he wanted to impress his authority on this series this year. He got off to a pretty good start so far, but this is a very demanding, very tight course. And the wind is strong today, as you already mentioned. There's a very stiff wind, and it's blowing a lot of sand up onto this track. And I imagine the groove is going to move up and down here all afternoon.
Now, once again, Greg Ray moves to the front, moving around David Empringham. Keep in mind, this is the first lap for these drivers with these new Yokohama radial tires.
And there you see some of that dust and grit being thrown up at David Empringham's car. Of course, drafting here, or slipstreaming his road. Boy, that was Peter Fawcett. Got very high there, right up into the dirt. Whoa,
Empringham got out to the wall.
Now then, that's going to really slow him up for 2 or 3 laps, because his tyres will have got up to temperature. They'll be hot and sticky. Driving through all that dust and debris up at the top part of the track there, that'll slow him down for a good couple of laps until he wears it all off.
There's a look at Empringham coming under fire now from Billy Rowe. He lost second position to Richie Hearn. So the running order right now is Ray, Hearn, Empringham, and Rowe as they come under the bridge. Empringham through turn 4 and down to the start-finish line.
Tyres coming back to sort of normal now. He'll worn some of that debris off them. And starts to pull away again from his from Rowe there in car number 40.
Billy Rowe just behind him, and Bobby Carville just behind him in the green and white machine. So David Empringham, the defending series champion, survives an early scare here in Phoenix.
Boy, I bet that was a scare too. I bet his little old heart was right up in his throat. I tell you what, mine was up in there just watching him.
Riding along with Patrick Lemarié in 7th position, just 23 years old, but already experienced. Just catches the end of the tire wall. He's also got a fire.
A bad fire. He's getting pretty casually out of that car. He has no idea that car's on fire. When he sees that out of the corner of his eye, he's going to move a lot quicker than he's moving now.
Obviously, the fuel bladder or fuel line punctured.
Yeah, see, suddenly saw it and he thought, oh my God, I mean, talk about a double take.
A huge crash. What really struck me, though, was the rear wheel came off as he spun the car. Billy Rowe from Mesa, Arizona knows this racetrack well. He is the holder of the world record for electric cars on a closed course. He lapped this 1-mile oval at better than 107 miles an hour in an electric Indy car. Now here's another look. He
must have tangled with Rowe.
リプレイを見てみましょう。カーナンバー9のカービルと接触したのがどうやら原因のようです。
And whatever it did, broke a fuel line off, probably putting fuel onto the hot engine. Well, boy, it was going well. Ooh.
ビリー・ローのマシンはフィールド中で一番古く、6年前のスイフト DB4 でした。
Billy Rowe driving the oldest car in the field, a 6-year-old Swift DB4. Swift race cars plan a new machine to be called the DB7 for 1995, but that car is finished.
He was on his way to a good payday too, because the C2 cars pick up the overall money, and of course they pick up a big bonus of their own, and he would have probably come in the top 4 or 5, would have got some good money.
タイヤウォールにぶつかったのでビリーロどうやら怪我はないようで
Goodness
す。
for that tire wall going that far down that retaining wall on the west side of the south side of the track here, and it literally rips the back of the car off. There you see
これ
the
は
rear
クラッ
car
シュの前
lying
に
in the
外れ
track.
たリアタイヤ。
I don't think
we
we
saw
can,
that came off before he actually hit the tires, right?
I don't think we can overstate the fact that he just caught the end of that tire wall. If he hadn't, he would have gone flush, driver's right, into that tire wall. And it doesn't bear thinking what might have happened. So Billy Rowe heads for the ambulance. He'll be taken to the infield medical center for observation, no doubt. Here's a look at our running order.
現在のリーダーはグレッグ・レイ、2位リッチー・ハーン、3位デイビッド・エンプリンガム、4位ボビー・キャービル、5位ゲイリー・ピーターソンとなっています。
That was Billy Rowe. Now we have the green flag, and Greg Ray takes the field down into turn 1. Rookies running 1 and 2 ahead of the defending series champion. You are on board with David Empringham looking ahead at that man, Greg Ray, being followed closely by Richie Hearn.
Now they only had one pace lap there, so these tyres will take a couple of laps to get up to temperature here, and Empringham's losing ground a little bit. Greg Ray doing a sterling job. Before that red flag, he had pulled out a huge lead.
There is Empringham, and just behind him, Bobby Carville. Greg Ray up front is a tremendous story, as is Richie Hearn, the guy behind him. Talk about a couple of qualified rookies. Greg Ray is the reigning club racing Atlantic champion here in the United States. Richie Hearn is black number 19 behind him, a graduate of the world-renowned Winfield Elf School in France. Had a season of
2位につけているカーナンバー19のリッチー・ハーンもルーキー。フランスのウィンフィールドエルフスクールを卒業。ヨーロッパのフォーミュラレースにしばらく出ていました。また昨年はアメリカでの2つのプロシリーズでルーキー・オブ・ザ・イヤーを獲得。またシェビープロシリーズにも出場しました。4位につけているのはカーナンバー5、オハイオ出身のコリン・トゥルーマンです。インディカーオーナーのジム・トゥルーマンの息子。
Side by side, wheel to wheel
さあトップ争いはリッチー・ハーン。
This is for the lead.
リッチー・ハーンリードを奪いました。
This is Richie Hearn taking the lead from Greg Ray. Now Ray will try to take him on the outside as they go 3 wide and out to the wall.
Getting out there and all that grey stuff as the traffic really there made this lead seesaw between the two. Let's hope Forsetta can get back to the pits.
And look at the gap that Richie Hearn is able to open up on Greg Ray.
All racing here at Phoenix is fast and furious, and you get absolutely no time to think. You have to think at least sort of 18 seconds in front of yourself all the time, because so much happens, and it happens so quickly.
We have a rookie battle out front. Richie Hearn and Greg Ray going at it out front. David Empringham, the defending series champion, dropped well back, and he is just coming into the pits at this moment. Meanwhile, Peter Fossetta Jr. has arrived in the pits, and he is severely agitated. But this battle up front, there you see Empringham, and they're going for the
カーナ
front
ンバー
wheels.
1のデイビッド・エンプリンガムがピットイン。右のフロントタイヤがパンクしています。このシリーズではスタートするときは予選の時と同じタイヤでなくてはなりません。
Where you want the car setup to be off at all.
New right front Yokohama tire goes on. The cars and drivers are required to start the race on the tires they qualified on. Here is Hearn and Ray.
Now they've settled down a bit now. No traffic in sight just for a little bit. They're going through the turn 3 and 4 complex. I must say, they look like the real thing when you look out of the booth window. These cars are quick. 240 odd horsepower of just 1.6 Toyota litres of 4 cylinders. Very tough little engine this, and of course a lot of horsepower for its size, as we see David Empringham pull out of the pits with a new pair of front tyres on.
Unfortunately, he'll be a couple of laps down as the leaders come swinging through turns 3 and 4, flat out. Let's get down to the pits and Gary Gerald.
Well, as you saw, they made the change in the right front, and they could not make it quickly. They also then made a total
エンプリンガムはタイヤを交換しただけでなくノーズウィングの挑戦も行いました。その結果4ラップダウンとなってしまいました。
No
question about it, Gary. He is 4 laps down, now running in 10th position, and it looks like Empringham, yes, will pit again.
エンプリンガムが再びピットインです。
Back down to Gary.
Well, here he is. He comes rolling in. Let's see if he keeps the engine alive.
トラブルの原因はどうやら右のフロントウィングのようです。両側のフロントウィングの調整をしています。
Making an adjustment here, but the frustration continues to mount for this man who has switched teams after winning the championship in this series last year, and he dropped further behind the pace being set by the leaders.
The leader's in the wall. Richie Hearn's in the wall at turn 4.
リーダーのリッチー・ハーンがクラッシュです。またマシン上火災が起こっています。
A little trouble getting out there. So we have our second fire of the day, and this is equally fierce underneath that engine hood.
Here comes the trucks. He's trying to find the master switch. No, the whole thing is up now.
Richie Hearn's day is done. Now here's another look. Just gets up.
リプレイをご覧ください。
Gets up in that grey stuff, and I mean there's so much of it. Boom, straight into the wall, rips off the right rear suspension and the wing, does a lot of damage to that car. That is a real, the new leader Greg Ray went underneath in there. That is a very disappointing end. Richie Hearn putting on a great show here, both of them weaving their way through traffic like pros.
We are into the late laps here at Phoenix International Raceway. As the cars whiz by. Now the overall race speed has dropped just a bit. Greg Ray averaging 141 miles an hour, about 4 miles an hour down from what they were doing a little earlier in the race. The gap just over 3.5 seconds from that car, the white number 2 of Greg Ray, to the second place machine right there, the red number 5 of Colin Trueman.
But Colin Trueman, of course, has had to fight his way through this traffic, which he's done very successfully. But of course, it makes it very difficult to make any significant ground on Ray, who's had a clear and open track and has yet some way to go before he starts getting himself tangled in backmarker traffic.
The purse structure on the Players Limited Toyota Atlantic Championship has changed this year. The individual race purses have been boosted to $85,000 with $25,000 to win. There is money paid down through 20 places, so everybody in the race here today will make something. Points paid through the 15 spot.
今年からこのシリーズポイントは15位まで、賞金は20位まで出ることになっています。
And as I say, he's just out for the test at the moment as we watch Greg Ray again in the number 2 car. Really now he has put a stamp of authority onto this racetrack.
Colin Trueman whistles by down into turn 1. It's a very different racetrack. To call this a 1-mile circuit simply doesn't tell the full story. It's a very odd shape. Turns 3 and 4 very long, slightly banked, and just flat out fast.
And of course, turns 1 is tight and goes into turn 2, which is less tight. And of course, 3 and 4 is just the opposite way. You go whistling into turn 3 rather. And on the exit of 4, it does tighten up quite a bit as we are on the board here with Empingham going underneath the black car of Lemarié.
Well, that camera really adds a lot. There is your race leader.
ホワイトフラッグが振られました。ファイナルラップです。
For Greg Ray, you saw Colin Trueman just coming into the rear of your picture, but it doesn't appear he will have enough time to try to reel in Greg Ray on his way to his first victory, possibly in the Players Limited Toyota Atlantic Championship in only his second start. Now this is the race for 4th place. Number 49 in black is Patrick Lemarié. Number 27 is Gary Peterson.
チェッカーフラッグが振られました。優勝はグレッグ・レイ。シーズン2回目の出場で初優勝を成し遂げました。
The National Club Racing Atlantic champion takes his first professional Atlantic victory. There is Lemarié, who crosses the finish line in 4th position behind Greg Ray, Colin Trueman, and Bobby Carville. Unofficially, Lemarié will be 4th, and 5th will be Gary Peterson. We'll be back.
シーズン開幕戦フェニックスの最終順位です。優勝グレッグ・レイ、2位コリン・トゥルーマン、3位ボビー・カービル、4位パトリック・ルマリエ、5位スティーブ・オハラ。
And it was a very dramatic race. Down in victory lane, there's our winner climbing out. Here's Gary Gerald. To our winner, Greg Ray.
1レースを終えてのポイントです。1位グレッグ・レイ21ポイント、2位コリン・トゥルーマン、3位ボビー・カービル、4位パトリック・ルマリエ、5位スティーブ・オハラとなっています。
Atlantic Championship. What's our final results? Keep in mind, Richie Hearn
スポーツアイがお送りしてまいりましたモータースポーツアワー。今日はインディカーシリーズへの登竜門ともいえる2つのフォーミュラーカーカテゴリー、インディライツチャンピオンシップとトヨタアトランティックシリーズをお送りいたしました。それではまたお会いしましょう。
Thanks for being with us. So long from Phoenix International Raceway.